Hello communication champions, welcome to this practical webinar where you'll have the chance to uncover a powerful communication secret, which is the art and science of storytelling. Successful communicators, powerful communicators use the art and science of storytelling to succeed in life. Why? Because they're able to use the power of their voice to command attention and drive impact. Powerful communicators are successful communicators. In this webinar, you'll have the chance to get a good overview of the storytelling secrets to become successful in life by using your voice to command attention and drive impact. Hi, my name is George Eaton, and for over 20 years, I've been successfully driving powerful communication and marketing for big companies like P&G, PepsiCo, Vodafone, but also for individual entrepreneurs who want to use the power of their voice to succeed and make an impact in this world. And I come back to this one core secret after over 20 years of experience, which is the art and science of storytelling. Storytelling is so powerful to drive significant impact in your life and to help you succeed. So in this webinar, you'll have the chance to learn and start implementing and succeeding. But wait, you could watch this webinar and do nothing at the end of this webinar, or for those who are serious about their communication success, at the end of this webinar, I'll offer you bonus secret content that will help to accelerate your chances of success, accelerate your chances of becoming a strong communicator. So wait till the very end to unlock the secret bonus and accelerate your chances of success. Now, when you watch this webinar, you may have 3 common misconceptions that you can crush during this webinar. The first might be, does the art and science of storytelling actually work to make me a better communicator and drive impact? Yes, it does. With over 20 years of experience, I can tell you that the art and science of storytelling can help you to become a powerful communicator. The second misconception you may have is, will this work for me in my profession? In my age and life stage? Absolutely. No matter your age, no matter your life stage, no matter your profession, the art and science of storytelling can make you into a powerful, successful communicator. The last question you may ask is, can I actually implement this today? Yes, you can. This is a highly practical webinar. And if you can learn at least one of the 5 storytelling skills, you'll become a better communicator today. So if it's okay with you, I've got 2 key points before we jump straight into the webinar. The first is for you to take down lots of notes during this webinar, because I'll be sharing 5 powerful secrets of communication. And if you can implement just one, you'll start noticing that you're becoming a successful communicator. The second is that towards the end of this webinar, I'll give you a bonus secret content that will help to accelerate your chances of success. Let me ask you a question. What if with powerful communication skills, you're able to close more sales deals? You're able to get promoted in your work, whether you're a teacher, a manager, or whatever you might be doing. Or with powerful communication, you might be able to have better relationships with family and friends. Isn't that worth the extra income, the extra promotion, the extra joy? And this benefit can be unlocked if you wait till the end of the webinar and get access to the secret bonus that will accelerate your chances of success. So watch till the very end, learn and apply. Now, let's get straight into the webinar. Hello and welcome to the Next Dimension Storytelling webinar. In this webinar, we'll look at using the art and science of storytelling to 10x the impact of your communication and success in life. Some of the most successful, powerful storytellers and communicators use the 5 storytelling techniques that I'll be covering today in this webinar to help you to improve your communication and to succeed in life. No matter what profession you're in, no matter what message you'd like to convey, by learning these 5 steps, you'll become a fantastic communicator who commands attention and drives impact. So if you're ready to learn more about these storytelling techniques, let's get started. My name is George Eapen, and I'll be your storytelling coach throughout this webinar. In this webinar, we'll look at the key storytelling fundamentals to help you to become a fantastic communicator. So what's the key objective of this webinar? You'll get to experience the power of storytelling to 10x your communication impact. The key outcomes coming out of this webinar session will be to help you explore the communication fundamentals that drive interest, engagement, curiosity, trust, and impact. You'll also be able to use the power of the deeper why behind your message so that it grabs the attention of the audience and encourages them to listen to your message. We'll definitely practice some of the tools we talked about, and you'll have the opportunity to upskill at the end to sign up to an online course where you can learn additional tools to master the art and science of storytelling and become a powerful communicator. So my only request is that you're fully present and committed to your success as we go through this webinar. My name is George Eapen. I'll be your storytelling coach throughout this webinar, and I'd like to welcome you and congratulate you in taking the proactive step to learn the fundamentals of storytelling so that you can become a stronger communicator. This webinar will not only help you to become a great communicator, but also enable you to become more successful in life, no matter what job, profession, or role you're currently involved with. Creating a powerful story for yourself and for your target audience will enable you to not only enrich your life, but also enrich and inspire others. So thank you so much for taking the time. Let's go straight into the tools. Now, there's a legal disclaimer I'd like you to read through and agree before we proceed with this webinar. And by watching the rest of the webinar, you're agreeing to this legal disclaimer. I understand that potential opportunities, tangible or intangible, arising from coaching programs, products offered by Next Dimension Story and their advertisers, sponsors, are aspirational statements only. These results and testimonials are not typical, and results will vary. Next Dimension Story can in no way guarantee you will get similar results. As a customer, you're solely responsible for the use of any content and hold Creative Story Limited. Next Dimension Story is a part of Creative Story Limited, and all members and affiliates harmless in any event or claim. So if you're ready to get started and you've accepted the legal disclaimer, let's proceed. Let me tell you a bit about myself. My name is George Eapen, and I'll be a storytelling coach throughout this webinar. I've had the privilege of working in marketing and communication roles for the likes of Procter & Gamble in the UK, in the US, for PepsiCo, around the world, leading the marketing and communication for Vodafone, for tech companies like USD, and now I'm consulting startups and scale-ups on using the power of their voice to command attention and drive impact. And I can tell you from my 20 plus years of storytelling coaching that storytelling can drive a significant impact for you as a person, for your brand, for your business, no matter what profession you're in. If you can learn and master the art and science of storytelling, you'll become a fantastic communicator who grabs the attention of their audience and drives impact. Moreover, powerful storytelling can inspire, engage, and educate. And my hope is that through this webinar, you learn the core skills to become a fantastic communicator. So let's do a warm-up exercise to get you into the mindset of storytelling and to become a fantastic communicator. So on a sheet of paper, please write your answers to these 5 questions. And this will definitely get you into the right mindset for storytelling. What is your favorite story? Why is it your favorite story? What do you love about that story? How did it make you feel? What did you take forward or change about yourself and your views on life after you finished that story? So take a few minutes to go through these 5 questions, think about them, and then let's go on to explore the various concepts, the 5 powerful concepts that are part of the art and science of storytelling. So you've had a chance to write out the answers to these 5 questions. And as you can tell, when you think about stories, how they make you feel, how they help you get a different point of view in life, you can see that storytelling has multiple benefits. It helps you to convey powerful messages with purpose. You emerge feeling different. Stories help you to connect with others and connect with yourself, something we call the mirror effect. Stories are filled with life lessons, sprinkled with psychological components, emotions, deep engagement and meaning. Moreover, stories help you to navigate your world successfully, and stories help you to communicate lifelong learning, skills, wisdom, values. So if you're a teacher who wants to communicate the right values and lessons to your students, storytelling is the answer. If you're an entrepreneur who wants to get more funding for your business, storytelling is the answer. If you're a manager who wants to inspire their team to do better, storytelling is the answer. In any professional field, if you are able to package your message through the art and science of storytelling, you become a fantastic communicator who commands attention and drives impact. Now, some of you on this webinar may be thinking, actually, I want to become a fantastic communicator and a great storyteller. However, I've got certain preconceived notions which I really need to get rid of. You may be thinking that you're not naturally creative to become a great storyteller. And the good news is you don't have to be. I'll teach you the 5 core concepts to becoming a fantastic storyteller. Another preconceived notion may be the fact that you may not be gifted in the art of communication to become a great storyteller. That is also not true. So these 2 preconceived notions, the first, that you need to be naturally creative, and the second, that you need to be naturally gifted in the art of communication, are all just preconceived notions. Let's get rid of them and teach you the art and science of storytelling to become a fantastic communicator. Now, the good news is storytelling can help you to succeed in life. Through storytelling, you can inspire, educate, inform, and impress others through storytelling. So whether you're in the corporate workspace, a startup, an entrepreneur, a teacher, educator, interviewing for that dream job, anyone can speak more confidently with the power of storytelling. Moreover, once you've mastered the art and science of storytelling, you can use it for everyday activities where you engage with people to convince, inspire, and educate. So let's learn these skills now. The first concept in the art and science of storytelling is to be fully aware of the fact that there is a successful storytelling pathway where you are able to communicate clearly, where you are able to command attention and drive impact. And the entire objective of the successful storytelling pathway is to help you to connect early and deeply so that you can connect with the heart, mind, and gut of your target audience. Connect deeply and early. Now, in order to do that, you need to understand that there are 2 storytelling pathways to keep in mind. The first pathway is the storytelling pathway of the speaker. The second pathway is the storytelling pathway of the listener. Now, with the storytelling pathway of the speaker, your objective is to inspire the audience, to get them fully engaged, and to educate them to change their hearts and minds based on your message. Now, from the point of view of the listener, there's a different pathway. As a listener, when you hear someone speaking, you start hearing them. And then if the message is interesting and relevant, you start listening to them and then getting engaged. And if the message is authentic, then it inspires you to want to know more about the speaker and the message. So this is the first fundamental concept, understanding the successful storytelling pathway and keeping that in mind so that you can connect early and deeply with your target audience, so that as a speaker, you can inspire, engage, and educate. And from the point of view of the listener, ensure that they can hear your message and quickly start listening, paying attention, engaging, and then getting inspired about your message and wanting more. And the different stages from a speaker and listener's point of view is what we call the intent to action gap. If you're able to close the gap between inspiration and engagement, between engagement and education, you become a successful communicator. And from the point of view of the listener, as a fantastic communicator, you need to be able to close the gap between hearing, listening, engaging, inspiring, and inspiring to getting the listener to want more of your message. And we'll go through the various concepts that will help you to close this intent to action gap. Now, it's important to fully take into consideration the storytelling success pathway, both from a speaker's point of view and from a listener's point of view. Now, the second most important concept is to start with the deeper why. Why do we start with the deeper purpose behind your message before we get into the details of your message? The reason is because 95% of our decision making happens at the subconscious emotive level. And this is true from a neurological point of view, the way our brains are wired. Our limbic system, which is the seat of all of our emotions, actually controls our decision making. So whether you're listening to a message, deciding what shampoo to buy or what food to buy, it is largely driven by emotions. And if you're able to tap and connect at an emotional level with your target audience, then they will connect and listen to your message in a more powerful way than if you just launched into your message. So starting with emotions is very, very important. And the best way to start with emotions is to start with the deeper why behind your message. Why are you communicating a message? Why should people listen to you? And if you're able to start off with that, then you establish the foundation for trust with your target audience. And then you can delve into the details of your message. So for example, if I am communicating to you about a powerful story, about a key incident that happened in my life, I will start off by telling you why you should pay attention, because I've had one of the most powerful, life-changing meetings in my entire life. I'd like to tell you more about this powerful meeting so that it may benefit you in the future. And then I'll go on to tell you that I had this very important meeting about making smart decisions in life. It completely changed the way I make decisions going forwards. And now I'd like to share the 5-step process to make good, solid, sound decisions in your life. That is a much more powerful way of getting the audience to listen to your message versus if I just started off the message by saying, I went to this meeting, it taught me some important life skills, and let me now tell you about these life skills. That is a far inferior way of starting a message versus starting a message by first saying, this is why I want to tell you this message. This is the deeper why. The reason why you should listen to this message. So always start with the deeper why behind your message and then delve into the details. Now, the second component of this very important concept of starting with a deeper why is to establish what we call the speed of trust in your story. People who are trustworthy are those who can communicate their message, deliver on their promise, and get the audience to want more of their message. So what do I mean by delivering on your promise? Every story has a beginning, middle, and end. And when you start your story, you start off by saying, I'd like to, in this case, for example, tell you about the 5-step framework to make smart, good decisions in life. Halfway through your story, you've gone through 3 out of the 5 steps. And that builds immense trust with your audience because you started off by saying, I'll teach you the 5-step technique to making sound, good decisions in life. Halfway through, you've covered 3 out of the 5 steps. Towards the end, you've covered all 5 steps. And you then encourage customers to apply these 5-step techniques to make sound, good decisions in their life. And that's where you build the speed of trust equation. Now, there is another concept to further build even more trust, engagement, and curiosity with your audience. And that's where you start with, along with the deeper why, introduce something that's familiar to your audience, and then bring a surprising unknown element to add curiosity and engagement within your message. Now, this is also a bonus tip. This is how you would start a story. Start with the deeper why, talk about something that's familiar to your audience, and then take them to the unknown. So, for example, if I was telling someone a story with a moral arc, a moral lesson, I might start off by saying, well, let me tell you about the story in the shape of a fairy tale. Now, you all know how fairy tales begin. There was once a prince and a princess, and maybe a dragon, and then this prince overcomes the dragon and wins the princess. Actually, I'm going to tell you a very important story. But this is not a fairy tale, this is a real story. In a land far, far away, there lived a man who was a regular person, but this person had a surprising talent to make the world a better place. And this was a secret talent that they wanted to share with the world, but they were not sure how to share it. So I take this concept of how do you start a fairy tale and then twist it on its head and tell you about how do you actually talk about a story of someone who is very normal but has an extraordinary gift. So you use the concept of familiarity to then take people to the unknown. You start with something that's familiar to everyone, and then you suddenly take them to the unknown by bringing a surprise element, something new, something distinct, and that will definitely drive the engagement and curiosity of your audience. So now it's practice time. Please grab a sheet of paper and let's start crafting your message with these different concepts that we talked about. So let's think of a message that you would like to communicate next week or next month, an important message that you want to communicate to your class, to your company, to your friends, to your family. So the first question is to think about that message you'd like to communicate. The second question is, what's the deeper why behind that message? Why should people listen to you when you want to communicate that particular message? And then the third question to think about and answer on your sheet of paper is, how would you start communicating a message with the familiar, unfamiliar, or the familiar, unknown technique? As you begin explaining your deeper why, how would you start with something that your audience is very familiar with and then introduce something that's surprising and distinct and different, thereby getting them excited to know more, driving their curiosity and engagement further and further up as you communicate your message? So take a few minutes to think about that message you'd like to communicate. Write out what's the deeper why behind that message, and then think about how you would start communicating a message with the familiar, unfamiliar technique. And when you've had a chance to write the answers to these questions, let's move on to the next concept. You can always pause the video at any time, write your answers, and then continue with the rest of the video. So the third concept we'll talk about in the power of storytelling is to adapt the story to the channel or platform. So we talked about thinking about a message you want to communicate, what's the deeper why, how do you then use the familiar and unknown concept to bring curiosity, engagement, and trust within your story. Now let's talk about another important concept, which is how do you make your story easy to consume to drive maximum impact and engagement? Now, you know that so far we've talked about the deeper why, we talked about starting with the familiar and then going into the unknown, and now we're going to be talking about the fact that your target audience is engaging across different channels and platforms to listen to your message. They might be engaging on a blog, on your website, on TikTok versus Instagram versus YouTube, which are all different channels of engagement, versus reading an email from you. So as your audience starts to process your message and get more information about your message, the channel that they engage in significantly impacts how you should tailor your message. So when you think about the different channels of engagement for your audience, where they listen to your message, it's very important to tailor, to customize the message based on the channel. And here are 3 different ways to customize your message based on the channel of engagement. You have to think about the time to engage, the aids, and the context. So what I mean by that, let me break it down into the detailed components. When we talk about time to engage, we're talking about how much time does your audience have to consume the content that you're providing. Do they have 30 seconds, a minute? Do they have 5 minutes, like for example when they're reading a blog? Or do they have 2 or 3 minutes when they are reading up information on your website? So the time to engage, it's important, because that will then determine how much time you have to grab their attention and to get your message across. Then we're talking about the different platforms that you have with the visual tools that you have to engage with. And these could be visuals, captions, or other aids. So for example, on TikTok, you might use dance as a medium to communicate your message, versus on YouTube, you might use certain captions, certain visuals to command the attention and drive interest. The third most important concept to keep in mind as you tailor the message to the audience is what is the context in which they're communicating, the context in which they're engaging with you. Are they on the go? Are they in the middle of running from one errand to another while they look at your message? Or are they chilling at home and they have 5 minutes to engage with your content? Are they busy? Are they relaxed? These are all important things to keep in mind. The end objective of this third concept is to make your story easy to consume. No matter what channel your audience is engaging on, you need to make your story easy to consume. And the 3 ways to do that is to make sure that you think about the time that they have to engage, the various visual aids you can use to drive attention and impact, and the context in which they're engaging. Are they on the go? Are they sedentary? Are they busy? Are they relaxed? So it's practice time. Please grab another sheet of paper. And now we've thought about the message. We've thought about the deeper why, the familiar and unknown technique. Now we're going to think about what platforms are your target audience engaging with. Are they engaging on social media, with blogs, through emails? How are they engaging? The second question, what is the context in which they are engaging? And then the third question to think about, how are you going to flex your message or your story for the platform and the context? Remember, when we talk about the context, how much time do they have? What are the visual aids you can use? What are the frames of mind in which they are engaging? Are they busy? Are they relaxed? So think about the message you're communicating. We've already written out the deeper why. We've already looked at the familiar and unknown concept. Now we're saying, how will you communicate your message based on the platform that your audience is engaging with? How are you going to shorten the message or lengthen the message because of the time you have? How are you going to use different visual aids?
to strengthen the impact of your message? So these are things to keep in mind. Take some time to write your answers to these questions, and then we can talk about the next concept. So the next concept we'll talk about, which is the fourth concept, is using the power of characters to add drama, excitement, interest, and intrigue to your message. Characters play a pivotal role in adding a multi-dimensional component for storytelling. Now, when I talk about characters, I'm talking about villains and heroes, the protagonists, the antagonists. You can use characters to play a pivotal role in your story across the beginning, middle, and the end of your story. So, thinking about the message you're going to communicate, we talked about the deeper why, we talked about using the familiar unknown concept, we talked about tailoring the message to the target audience based on your channel of engagement. Now let's talk about different characters that you could introduce. What's their voice and personality? What's the motivation of these characters? Why are they in the story? So you can use characters very powerfully and effectively to drive excitement and interest in your story. So it's practice time. Please take another sheet of paper and write out 2 characters that are integral to your message or your story. Now, if you are a manager that's communicating about an organizational change within your teams, you could talk about a character that is excited about the change and a character that is scared about the change. What will be their voice and personality? What's their motivation? And where in your story are you going to introduce them? Now, if you are talking about communicating a message to your friends or your family, think about what could be 2 characters that you could introduce within the story. How do they feel based on the message in the story? What is their motivation? And where in the story are you going to introduce them? So these are 4 different questions to keep in mind as you think about introducing characters to your story. Now we've covered 4 important concepts, and I hope that you've written down answers to the various questions, because what we're trying to do here is take the message you want to communicate and craft it into these 4 different steps of transforming that message into a powerful communication tool. With using the message you want to communicate, starting with the deeper why, introducing the familiar and unknown concept, tailoring the message, and now introducing characters. Now, the 5th concept that we'll talk about as we elevate your message and package it into a powerful story is the aspect of tension. We'll talk about what's tension, when to infuse it, and when to resolve or not resolve tension. Successful storytelling embraces tension and resolves it in a timely and meaningful fashion. It helps you to connect very quickly with your audience and engage them. In fact, if you start with tension, stretch it and resolve it at the right time, you'll be able to bring significant impact through your message. So let's say you're starting out this message with a deeper why, you then bring about something that's familiar, and then you take your audience into the unknown. And they're trying to figure out, okay, where are we going with this message? The time it takes for them to figure out, if you use that time effectively, which is the power of tension, you get your audience wanting more and more of your message. They're desperate to find out how the story is going to evolve, how the heroes and villains in the story are going to end up. That is all the power of tension. So, tension is the coexistence of 2 opposing forces. So within your message, you might have a component that talks about fear versus another component that talks about faith. In your message, you might talk about doubt versus hope, sadness versus happiness. When you introduce these different opposing forces within your message, you drive immense interest, immense curiosity, immense desire from your audience to listen to your message and to learn from it. So there are multiple ways to introduce tension within your story. One way is to start off a sentence by saying, I want to do something, but I can't because, or this is what I was planning to do, but then this obstacle came along the way that was blocking me. I had to overcome this obstacle in order to move forward. Or I was planning to do this, but this major issue was slammed right in my face and I had to deal with that first. What was the major issue? How did you go about dealing with it? Did you manage to come out the other end, being victorious and successful? These are different ways you can introduce tension within your story to drive interest and excitement. So let me give you an example of using tension very effectively within my message. So remember I told you about this very important meeting I went to where I learned how to make good, smart decisions in life and how it completely transformed my way of living, because now I could confidently make smart, good decisions through this 5-step framework. So let me tell you a bit about the 5 ways to always make smart, good decisions. And guess what? Point 4 will completely take you by surprise. No matter how experienced you are, point 4 always shocks every single person who has gone through the 5 ways. Want to know more? Keep reading. So this is an example where I'm using tension effectively to bring you along the journey of my message. I start with the deeper why of an important meeting that forever changed my life, and then went into the details of making smart, good decisions, which is something that everyone is familiar with. And then I introduced something that's special and unknown, which is the 5-step framework to always make smart, good decisions. And then I started delving into the tension component of it by telling you about point 4, which will completely take you by surprise. Now, as an audience, you're figuring out, okay, what is point 4? How do I figure out what point 4 is and how will it take me by surprise? In fact, what's point 1 through 5? What are the 5 different ways? And I'm very keen to listen to step 4 because you've said that that'll take every person by surprise. So you build excitement, curiosity right from the beginning of your message, and as you continue building your message and completing your message. And there are multiple ways to infuse tension. I've told you about the different sentences you can use. You can use obstacles and struggles. So you can say, I was planning to do this with my family, and then this obstacle came along the way. We had to figure out how to go on this family vacation with half the money that we had before. And I had to figure out smart money management techniques. Let me share those techniques with you. You can use questions and doubts. When within your story, something happens to the hero, the question from the audience immediately in their mind is, how will this hero make it to the other end? You can use the ticking clock technique, where, for example, something is about to happen and there is a limited period of time for you to make a decision and the clock is running out. What are you going to do? You can talk about surprises and redirects. So imagine you're telling your story one way and then suddenly there's a twist and the story goes another way. Those are different ways to infuse tension. And you can decide within your story whether you want to resolve that tension or leave it till part 2 of your message, where you resolve that tension. So let's now practice tension and resolution. Please take another sheet of paper. And we're now coming to the 5th concept of packaging your message into a powerful story so that you command attention and drive impact. So here are the 2 questions to think about. Write down 2 tension points within your message. And are you going to resolve them? And if so, when will you resolve them? Those are important things to keep in mind. So take some time to write down the 2 tension points, figure out if you're going to resolve them and when. And once you're done with that, let's move on to a bonus concept within this webinar. So the bonus concept within this webinar is, as you frame your message with the power of storytelling by starting with a deeper why, introducing something that's familiar and then a surprise unknown element, tailoring a message to the channel, introducing characters, bringing in tension, resolving it or not resolving it. The last and very powerful concept in storytelling is to stay true to your style to drive authenticity. Everyone wants to connect with people who are authentic and true to who they are. Now, when you introduce authenticity within your message, you're being vulnerable. You're talking about your highs and your lows. You're able to get the audience to relate to you and connect with you. And that drives 10 times the impact with storytelling because you're communicating with authentic flair. Authenticity means staying true to your core self, staying true to who you are, exposing your highs and lows, your weaknesses and strengths. And when you open up with vulnerability, your audience is able to relate to you. They're able to say, actually, this person is similar to me. I'm able to relate to their struggles, their highs and their lows, their triumphs. And that way you connect heart, mind, and gut with your audience. You form an intense connection with your audience because you're being vulnerable, authentic, and real. Now, being authentic is a tough ask, but will yield significant and powerful connections with your audience when you communicate your story. So I would like to encourage you to try and introduce authenticity and vulnerability within your message, whether you're communicating about yourself or the characters that you introduce. Bring authenticity and vulnerability and suddenly see how your story takes on significant impact as it connects deeply with your audience. So please grab a sheet of paper, and this is the final practice session where we're going to write the answer to this question. What is your authentic superpower that you're going to infuse into your message or your story? Think about that authentic superpower and please write the answer to this question. And when you're done with it, let's wrap up and bring everything together. So I hope through this webinar on the art and science of storytelling, you've learned 6 powerful concepts to take any message in any profession and make it much more impactful, make it command attention, and change hearts and minds of your target audience. So hopefully through this webinar, I've shared with you the power of starting with the deeper why, to connect emotively with your audience and to drive change. We talked about introducing a familiar aspect and then quickly moving your audience to the unknown. We talked about tailoring your message based on the channels and platforms, looking specifically at the time you have to engage, the various visual aids and tools, and the context in which the audience is engaging. We then moved on to characters and using the power of characters to elevate the power of your message. Then we talked about tension and how tension keeps your audience on tenterhooks, wanting to know more about your message. And finally, authenticity, vulnerability, relatability, so that the audience can connect at a deep heart and mind level with your message. Listen to your message, engage, and be completely transformed by what you have to communicate. So dear friends, I hope through this webinar, you now got the 6 tools to become a fantastic communicator. Please practice and put these tools into action straight away. Thinking about that message you want to communicate next week. Start bringing these 6 tools into practice through the various responses you've written to the questions around the 6 concepts. Video yourself, communicating your message through storytelling. Review the video and record yourself again. Refine, and by the 3rd time, I promise you, you will become a fantastic communicator. Your everyday message will take on significant impact. You'll be able to powerfully communicate that message to your target audience with the 6 concepts that you will have put in place to become a fantastic communicator. I'd like to say a big thank you for taking the time to learn the art and science of storytelling to 10x the impact of your communication. Now, for those who are desperate to do more, here's an opportunity to upskill. First off, thank you, congratulations, and well done. You've taken the right steps in getting an overview of the art and science of storytelling to boost the impact of your communication. You've started the journey of becoming a successful storyteller. Now, for those who are ready to upskill, I'd like to encourage you to sign up to the online introductory course on becoming a powerful storyteller and communicator. The online course will take you through all 6 concepts in detail, give you detailed worksheets to put them to practice. Once you buy the online video course, you will have permanent access to it. You even have a 14-day money-back guarantee in case you're not completely happy with it. But I promise you, you will be able to learn all the tools in detail to become a fantastic communicator. So go ahead, if you're ready to upskill, to this website, https://www.nextdimensionstory.com/video-course-storytelling. The course will give you all the tools you need to become a fantastic communicator. So go ahead and upskill today. Buy the online video course and become a fantastic communicator. All the very best, and thank you.
Well done. You're one of the few serious communicators who watched the webinar till the end and internalized all 5 powerful storytelling secrets to become a better communicator. Now, let me ask you a question. How would you accelerate your success as a powerful communicator after learning these 5 storytelling secrets? What would you do differently to start implementing it straight away to become a powerful communicator? Now, I told you at the end of this webinar, I'll share with you secret bonus content to accelerate your chances of success, accelerate your chances of becoming a powerful communicator. What does successful communication mean to you? What does it work to you in your own life? Does it mean you can close more sales deals and become more successful? Does it mean you can get promoted in your job because of better communication? Or does it mean that you have more joy in your family and friends because you're a better communicator? So imagine that level of success. What does that mean to you in your own life because of powerful communication? Powerful communicators are successful people. Would you like to join the list of powerful, successful communicators who have gone on to take my coaching programs to become really powerful communicators? If the answer is yes and you're willing to give it a try, then I'd like to offer this special bonus promotion code to you to access my 10x communication audio and video courses. You can listen to these audio courses or learn from these video courses in the comfort of your home. I'll take you through a guided step-by-step approach so you can accelerate your chances of becoming a powerful communicator and accelerate your chances of succeeding in life. So if that's something you would like to try and make use of that success in life, then look out for the discount codes in the chat box applied straight away today towards the audio and video courses to 10x your communication impact. Grab hold of that extra success in your life by investing in the audio and video courses and accelerate your chances of success. Now, after you give it a try, if for some reason you're unhappy with the audio or video course, you have 14 days to get 100% refund. That's right, I'm confident in the success of the courses that I'm giving you a 14-day 100% refund. So grab a hold of that success. Don't leave it on the table. All the very best.